Today on ZZZ Made Easy, we're judging the kit of Zhao. This video will cover Zhao's main mechanics, how you can build her, and some teams you can go into. If you're watching this video during version 2.5 or 2.6, then Zhao will be given out for free just for logging in. Don't miss out. Footage used for this guide is from the creator beta server, so there's no sound effects and things are subject to change. Thank you, however, for this opportunity. Zhao is an S-rank Ice defense agent from Krampus. She's the first non-DPS Ice agent since the game's launch, and only our second S-rank defense agent. Zhao will charge up her tiny greatsword for extra team damage, but her supportive traits are her main selling point. Zhao can grant attack and general damage buffs while also activating Aether Veil Wellspring, which can be useful for some agents like Xiao'Guang. Zhao is made to pair with senior Xiao'Guang, but she is a decent general support that can pair with many other agents and teams. For newer players, she's actually a pretty nice gift that doesn't require too much investment either. To start, Zhao's core passive grants 100 Frostbite points when entering battle. Unrelated to Miyabi, Zhao's Frostbite is her unique resource designated by the bar in the upper left. Zhao can have 100 points max, and every time the active agent hits an enemy, Zhao gains 6 Frostbite. This effect can trigger once every 3 seconds, which means if you're a perfect robot, then Zhao could refill her Frostbite every 50 seconds. Now, Frostbite is used to trigger Zhao's entry skill, which is a new mechanic in version 2.5. While in combat, if you do a regular swap to Zhao when she has 100 Frostbite, then she will trigger her entry skill, which is an attack with some iframes. This mechanic is very similar to Lighter's self-activating Quick Assist, and Zhao's entry skill is considered a Quick Assist. If you have an actual Quick Assist prompt, Zhao will also replace that with this entry skill as well. While the entry skill is happening, Zhao will trigger a Quick Assist forward. I would recommend taking that while Zhao finishes her attack in the background. In addition to the cool attack and quick assist, when Zhao uses her entry skill, she will activate Aether Veil Wellspring for 40 seconds. This is the same Aether Veil effect as Lucia and Yidhari. While active, all allies gain 5% max HP. An important distinction for Zhao is that if you reactivate her Aether Veil before it's over, she will end the current instance before applying a new 40-second Aether Veil Wellspring. Lucia and Yidhari will extend the timer on their Aether Veils. Generally, this isn't a big deal, but for Xiao'Guang, her addition ability does specify it requires allies to activate Aether Veils. Extending the timer doesn't count, so Zhao's full refresh does matter for that. Continuing with the core passive, after Zhao activates her Aether Veil, she grants the team a 1000 attack buff for 50 seconds. Zhao's main support buff isn't her Aether Veil, it's the 1000 attack buff that comes with it. Take note that the attack buff lasts for 50 seconds, while the Aether Veil only lasts for 40 seconds. The attack buff will be symbolized by the bunny icon, but you kinda don't want to be out of Aether Veil either for another one of Zhao's effects. Next we have a selfish buff. Every 1000 initial max HP Zhao has is converted into 1.4% crit rate. This has no cap, but it only includes initial max HP, which means only what's on Zhao's stat page before battle. The 5% HP buff from Aether Veil Wellspring does not contribute to the crit conversion. Now, generally speaking, Zhao uses this extra crit rate just for her own damage. She's not really a sub DPS per se, but extra damage is extra damage, so we'll take it. Besides extra crit rate, Zhao will build HP for her additional ability. It requires an attack, anomaly, or support agent. When Zhao's in any Aether Veil, increase the squad's damage by 10%. If Zhao has more than 15,000 initial max HP, every additional 400 HP will increase this damage buff by 1%, up to a total of 40%. In other words, to get the 40% damage buff for the entire team, Zhao needs 27,000 initial max HP. This is going to require some disc substat farming and a full HP build. We've covered the main buffs for Zhao's kit, so let's review. Zhao gains Frostbite points when the active agent hits the enemy. At 100 Frostbite, you can trigger Zhao's entry skill, which triggers her Aether Veil Wellspring, plus a 1000 attack buff for the team. With her additional ability, Zhao can also give up to a 40% damage buff as long as any Aether Veil is active. To get that 40% buff, Zhao needs to build 27,000 initial max HP, and as a bonus, she'll convert some of that HP into crit rate. Assuming you hit that 27,000 HP goal, Zhao can get about 37% crit rate just for herself. When it comes to timing, Aether Veil Wellspring will last for 40 seconds, while Zhao's attack buff lasts for 50 seconds. Zhao can get 100 Frostbite in exactly 50 seconds if you manage to hit the enemy every 3 seconds on the dot. Typically that's not going to happen, especially if a boss has an invulnerability phase or something like that. Now, in that 10-second or more downtime, Zhao will not get for additional abilities 40% damage buff. You will need to be careful of your damage dealers not getting the full buffing power of Zhao. That is unless you use other Aether Veil agents like Lucia, Yidhari, or the new Xiao'Guang. Zhao's synergy with our next Void Hunter is intended, and from my testing, Zhao's 40% damage buff will apply if Xiao'Guang is in her Aether Veil Verdict, even if Wellspring has ended. Now even Xiao'Guang can't take forever, since Zhao's attack buff only lasts for 50 seconds. To refresh Ether Veil in that 40 to 50 second window, or even before 40 seconds, Zhao has more methods to gain Frostbite. With 80 energy, Zhao can use her EX special. This long-lasting attack grants 20 Frostbite points, and if Zhao's in any Ether Veil, then it also grants a quick assist. If Zhao ends up with 100 Frostbite and uses EX special, then this move will trigger the Ether Veil plus quick assist. No need to do the entry skill, although the entry skill itself is an extra damage move. If possible, you kinda wanna use it. Now if Zhao tries to use EX special and she has above 80 Frostbite but less than 100 points, then the EX special's 20 points will carry over to the next activation. Nice little quality of life. For another benefit of Zhao's EX special, it consumes 5% of Zhao's current HP and heals the entire team equal to 1.72% of Zhao's max HP per second for 5 seconds. This healing effect can only occur every 30 seconds, which is fine since Zhao typically isn't spamming his move. While Zhao's other HP scaling abilities so far have used initial max HP, the healing effect will use in-combat max HP. That means Ether Veil Wellspring grants more healing, and Zhao can get some in-combat HP boosting effects via W engines. Now if Zhao doesn't have energy, her regular special also triggers the healing ability, and it will share the same 30-second cooldown with the EX special. Zhao's regular special isn't anything that special outside the healing portion. Very basic ice damage move, although it is a heavy attack. Zhao's ultimate is a fun little move that grants 20 Frostbite points. Like the EX special, it can trigger Zhao's Ether Veil if you hit 100 points, and it'll trigger the quick assist so long as any Ether Veil is active. Now an interesting trait of the ultimate is that its quick assist prompt appears before the heavy attack part of the move. This means when it's stun time, Zhao can ult, then quick assist out before she triggers the chain attack. If you want to use this, be prepared to start the stun with your next agent or just cancel it with manual chain attacks. Zhao's last main mechanic comes by holding basic attack. Zhao will charge up her greatsword for 5 seconds or until you release the button. Each second of charge time will add 24% of Zhao's max HP as additional base damage to the final verdict slash. At the 5-second max charge, Zhao will add 120% of her HP stat as extra damage. If you take a look at the stats page, Final Verdict has a tiny damage multiplier. The majority of the damage is going to come from the HP scaling by charging. You should also know that most of the damage only comes from the final tick. If that part fails the crit, then you will lose out. Now while Zhao cannot move while charging, if the enemy is far away when you release the slash, she will warp over to them to a certain extent. I wish I had this in Monster Hunter. Final Verdict has a few quirks to discuss. First, if Zhao has full Frostbite points, then you can use Final Verdict and it'll trigger the Ether Veil plus Quick Assist prompt. Unlike the EX Special or Ultimate, Zhao needs a full bar to do this because Final Verdict isn't granting extra Frostbite. You may have noticed that Zhao has been charging in the background after certain moves. If you launch an ally's Quick Assist after one of Zhao's prompts, then Zhao will automatically begin to charge Final Verdict from off-field. She will be invulnerable while doing so, and after 5 seconds, Zhao will unleash Final Verdict on her own. If you manage to swap back to Zhao, she will unleash Final Verdict with however much charge time she accumulated. Do take note though, that Zhao has no iframes during this move. She will get 40% damage reduction, but if you let Zhao finish Final Verdict from off-field, then she's just completely safe. I have more to say on swapping with Zhao, but we'll come back to that later. For another one of Final Verdict's traits, Zhao can store her charge time. This mostly only applies if you manually charge, then dodge to cancel. Zhao will charge for 5 seconds every time you start Final Verdict, but if you keep canceling, then you'll notice she retains the extra damage if you just unleash the move instantly. Besides adding damage to Final Verdict, Zhao can also use the stored charge time for other moves, such as her chain attack and her defensive assist follow-up. These are rarer situations, so let's cover those moves next. Zhao's chain attack can grant 5 Frostbite points and can trigger quick assist if Ether Veil is active. If Zhao happens to be charging Final Verdict while your chain attack occurs, she will get pulled in for the attack and use her stored charge time to add extra damage. If Zhao does not go last in the chain attack sequence, then she will not start another charge from off-field. You can cancel the chain attack to get access to the quick assist, but that's a bit out of the way. Generally speaking, it will be best to go last in the sequence, but that depends on if your other teammates also want that spot. For Zhao's defensive assist, she has the stronger version, which only costs 1 assist point versus big boss attacks. This move doesn't grant Frostbite, but it can trigger a quick assist if Ether Veil is active. To get the extra charge time damage on the defensive assist follow-up, you may think it's like the chain attack where I can pull Zhao while she's charging to perfect assist, and then she'll apply that damage boost on the follow-up before starting the next charge. Unfortunately, that's not how Zhao works. When you have Zhao on your team, you may notice your agent swaps get messed up. It took me a little while to realize that I wasn't messing up the inputs, Zhao just wasn't available to swap in. One of the negatives about Zhao's kit is that her off-field charging takes her out of the team swap order. What do I mean by this? If you're familiar with Astra's singing state, then Zhao's final verdict charging works the same way. While Zhao is charging, she's no longer in the team swap order for special swap mechanics like Quick Assist or Perfect Assist. In this example, I use Zhao's EX Special then Quick Assist out. Zhao will start charging and you'll see that the Perfect Assist flash is red, signaling I can't trigger it. If you try to Perfect Assist, Zhao will just come in doing final verdict, not her defensive assist. In a 3-man team, this gets more confusing. I will be quick assisting into Xiao'Guang, then regular swapping to Lycon. For this showcase, I will only be swapping forward because obviously you can't tell if I'm swapping backwards or not. Okay, while on Lycon, if I try to perfect assist into Zhao while she is charging, the flash goes back to golden. But Xiao'Guang is the one who comes in, not Zhao. Basically, because Zhao is on field sorta, the game skips her when you try to do perfect assist, and the only other option is Xiao'Guang. If you want to swap into Zhao, you must regular swap. No quick assist, no perfect assist. Now what happens if you add Astra plus Zhao? Astra's already not available for perfect assist or quick assist when she sings. Every time Zhao uses one of her quick assist moves and I go to Xiao'Guang, I no longer can perfect assist until Zhao is done charging. Trying to swap into either of them would do a regular swap. That's not great, especially when a lot of these Season 2 enemies rely on perfect assist mechanics. Getting locked out of my own defensive maneuver feels kinda bad. Just to wrap up this section, watch what happens if you try to use a quick assist move while Astra's singing and Zhao is charging. There is no quick assist prompt until Zhao does final verdict. We took a small detour, but I think it's important to understand these mechanics because if you're expecting to use Zhao's defensive assist, then you simply just can't in some situations. Okay, let's do one last review for Zhao's important moves. Once Ether Veil is up, Zhao can trigger Quick Assist after the following and then begin off-field charging. First is the entry skill. Zhao starts with full Frostbite, so you're going to want to begin combat by swapping to Zhao and then immediately Quick Assisting out. The second main move is Zhao's EX Special. It grants 20 Frostbite, so this is a way to build points to refresh Ether Veil faster. The same will apply to Zhao's ultimate. I mainly use it for taking down miasma shields, but the 20 Frostbite and Quick Assist is nice. Zhao's chain attack only grants 5 Frostbite, but if done last in your chain attack sequence, it's another way to get a quick assist. Last, Zhao's defensive assist is the stronger variant, but you must be mindful of when Zhao has done her other quick assisting moves. Until she finishes her off-field final verdict or you swap to Zhao manually, then you will be locked out of using the defensive assist. As we move into the build section, let's take a look at what stats Zhao wants. Besides attack and crit stats for personal damage, Zhao wants 27,000 initial max HP for her additional ability. This will require an extra plus 172% HP. Very important to understand that the initial HP only counts what's on your stats page before battle. Zhao can affect this by leveling up her core passive to level E, which grants plus 18% HP. If you run triple 30% HP main stat drive disc in partitions 4, 5, and 6, then that's 90% HP. With 2-piece Young White Tails, you can get another 10% HP. Altogether, that's plus 118%. With Zhao's signature dub engine, she can get another 30% HP. Alternate A-rank options can grant plus 25%. If you're using Zhao's signature, it would need an additional 24% HP, which equates to 8% HP substats on her drive disc. You actually need one flat HP substat as well, and in general, one flat HP substat is a little less than half of a percent HP substat. If you're going to go with the A-rank W engine options, Zhao will need 10% HP substats. Generally speaking, it is doable to hit 27,000 HP, but you only have partitions 1, 2, and 3 to get those 8 to 10 HP substats. Zhao will appreciate any flat HP substats, so don't delete those discs so soon. For W engines, Zhao's signature is Half Sugar Bunny. It has a 30% HP main stat and increases Zhao's energy regen in combat by 0.46 per second. For the entire team, everyone get another 10% attack and 10% max HP. When the user activates or extends Ether Veil, the squad gets 30% crit damage for 60 seconds. In combat attack buff, extra crit damage when refreshing Ether Veil, and more max HP for Rupture agents. Zhao only benefits from the 30% HP main stat for her addition ability, but the in-combat 10% max HP will affect her healing and bonus damage via charging. The extra energy regen is appreciated from her EX specials, which in turn is more Frostbite points. Zhao might not be able to build extra ER from her disc, so this is a comfy add-on. Now for other options, Original Transmorpher finally has a use because it's a craftable defense W engine that comes with a 25% HP main stat. It will be possible to hit Zhao's 27,000 HP goal with this engine with some disc farming. For its passive, the extra 12.5% HP will only affect Zhao's healing/charging bonus damage. When Zhao is attacked, she will get extra impact. It's not really clear from that description, but if you use your defensive assist, that counts as being attacked. Now there's only one other S-rank defense W engine, and that is Caesar's Tusk of Fury. It grants impact, but when any squad member triggers an interrupt or perfect dodge, it also grants plus 18% damage and 12% bonus days for 20 seconds. Without an HP main stat, Zhao may not get the full 40% damage buff from her additional ability, but you can just replace that with Tusk of Fury's 18% damage boost. Could be an option if you want extra stunning power for your team as well. For Drive Disc, if you wanted to max out the team buff, then Zhao needs percentage HP main stats on basically her entire right side selection. You could try Energy Regen for Partition 6, but you'll probably not max out the additional ability. Now, unless you want to farm even more substats, 2-piece Yunquei Tails will help meet our HP threshold. 4-piece sets is where Zhao has some freedom, albeit it's more of a we'll work with what we have kind of situation. Since Zhao can trigger Quick Assist with her Ether Veil as active, she could hold Astral Voice. You would think Zhao could use her entry skill for 1 stack, then Quick Assist to her ally for a 2nd stack. Sadly, that's not how the interaction works. You only gain a stack if the entry skill happens while an actual Quick Assist prompt is on screen. I was specifically told this is intended by my correspondent. Now, I feel like there might be some bugs because I did find that Bernice's new entry ability does grant a stack of Astral Voice by itself. Maybe those will get changed in the future, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. Moving on, for other 4-piece sets, Zhao can use Swing Jazz as an all-purpose support set. She would have to activate a Chain Attacker ultimate for the damage boost. Now, if you'd rather activate Perfect Assist on any team member, then Protopunk can have higher uptime. The only downside is that the 2-piece shield buff effect is useless for Zhao. Now, similar to Panyu, Zhao can use Astral Voice, but she probably can't stack it all the way without help from a second Quick Assister. If you're not really feeling like any of these 4-piece sets, you could do triple 2-piece setups. I would recommend extra Energy Regen for more EX special opportunities. Maybe you could do something like 2-piece Swing Jazz and 2-piece Million Lullaby together with the Yunquei Tails. For teams, Zhao is a universal support since her attack and damage buffs work for pretty much any damage dealer. She can be the buffer in the standard attack stun core or the disordered double anomaly teams. Zhao's Ether Veil healing abilities and signature's 10% HP buff seem targeted at Rupture agents, but that's the one class Zhao's additional ability doesn't work for. If you want to use a Rupture team, you need another support for a double buffer setup. In version 2.5, Xiao'Guang is releasing, and Zhao not only is a perfectly fine buffer for her, she's kinda the only agent who activates Xiao'Guang's additional ability. If other agents need Ether Veil, then Zhao can fill that role, but so far it's clear that Zhao is tailor-made for Xiao'Guang out of the box. Now for any attack agent, Zhao can also pair with Dialin for a fine all-around team. Dialin's amazing for Xiao'Guang as well, and together with Zhao, you're gonna get so many enlightened states. For anomaly teams, Bernice and Grace are getting reworks in 2.5. They aren't a ton of great fire and electric matchups, but Grace's additional ability did get changed to work with any anomaly agent. Currently, no anomaly agents need Ether Veil, but they like attack at 40% damage, so Zhao can fit in just fine since she'll buff both damage dealers. Any anomaly duels can work here. As for the Rupture teams, there's kinda only one setup right now. Zhao wants a support, and there is only one Rupture focus support, which is Lucia. Zhao plus Lucia can pair with any of the current Rupture agents, but a lot of them like a stunner. This team is kinda just a full on-field brawling team where the Rupture agents gets to fight the entire time. For other double buffer teams, Zhao can run with Astra, Yuzuha, or Lucy to stack attack. To diversify your buffs, you could use Nicole or Rina. Now, if you'd like to run a DPS Ice team with Lycon as the stunner, then Zhao could replace Sokaku. For some other examples, Zhao's team buffs can fit double attack teams with C. It also can help the off-field Aftershock agents like Trigger, or if he can fill both those roles. Personally, I enjoyed the seed with Xiao'Guang team, and Abby's finally getting her re-1 in 2.5. If you're planning to get her, I already made a guide for her rework. You got a lot of fun new moves. Next, I managed to go one video without talking about later, but we got another ice agent, so I have to bring him up again. Zhao buffs attack and general damage, Lighter buffs fire and ice damage, and we have a couple fire/ice DPS options. Ellen or Evelyn could be our attacker, but Soldier 11 is also getting her rework in 2.5. I have to say, they were cooking with that one. She's super fun to play. Last, Miyabi doesn't have free reign with double anomaly options because she needs a support or Section 6 member. If you want to use Zhao, you can run Miyabi with Yanagi, or you could try another mono ice variation. Zhao's definitely not replacing Yuzuho for buffing, nor Lycon if you'd rather get more stuns, but I think she can do just fine as Sokaku's Ice Anomaly backup. You can't really tweak her build for Anomaly Master or Energy Regen though, without sacrificing HP for that damage buff. Next up, let's go over Zhao's Mindscapes. For M1, when Zhao switches out from being the active agent, all squad members get 15% all attribute resistance shred. I believe this buff just reapplies anytime Zhao swaps out, so it's a permanent res shred for everyone. For Mindscape 2, when Zhao recovers HP, she gains 20% attack. All other squad members get 15% attack, and this lasts for 50 seconds. Zhao heals via her special or EX special. As long as you use one of those every 50 seconds, then that's just more attack for your team. For M4, when Zhao activates Ether Veil, she gains 250 decibels. Zhao's ultimate, Chain Attack, and the Final Verdict Charge Attack gain 40% bonus crit damage. Pretty simple damage boost, and more decibels equals more ultimates. For M6, Zhao's crit rate buff is increased to 125% of the original value. This means Zhao should get 1.75% crit rate for every 1000 initial max HP. Now the extra damage from the charging Final Verdict will also get increased to 140% of its original value. That should be 33.6% max HP per second of charging. Additionally, the accumulated charge time is no longer consumed when attacking. If I understand correctly, Zhao will charge to 5 seconds one time, and all future charge attacks now deal the full amount of damage. With the M6 buff, that would come out to 168% max HP added to the base damage. With the extra crit rate conversion and M4's crit rate buff, M6 could allow Zhao to play on-field DPS with her charge attacks. She doesn't get iframes while using Final Verdict on field though, so you're gonna have to be dodging or perfect assisting to help Zhao out. In terms of investment, I would say M1 is a nice general damage boost, but I would grab Zhao's signature first, and definitely before M2. Half Sugar Bunny has a 10% attack buff, and M2 is only 15% for allies. The signature would also give Energy Regen, which is just more comfy, plus it's technically cheaper to get in theory. For the after party, let's go over more of Zhao's moves and other traits. Zhao's basic attack string is a 5-part combo with 1 physical damage slash, and then the rest is ice damage. Her 4th basic sends her behind the enemy, and her 5th basic has her flipping over to land in the original orientation. I think the 4th basic has iframes while Zhao is dashing around the enemy, but you definitely can get hit as she transitions to the 5th basic flip. For Zhao's dodge counter, it sends her skyward before she lands, and it changes into her 4th basic attack. Zhao's quick assist is the same animation as the dodge counter, although it's just a weaker attack. If you want to stay on field, Zhao's EX special also changes into her 4th basic. You can't start it before the quick assist ends though. It's not the greatest, but in a pinch, Zhao's 4th basic attack kinda grips small enemies together. Zhao's dash is hilarious, and if you input a direction 180 degrees backwards, then Zhao will stick her sword in the ground to do a U-turn. For the actual dash attack, Zhao does some physical damage and then ice damage hits. This won't chain to any other moves directly. Don't ask how, but Zhao's dash will block projectiles. When you come to a stop, Zhao falls over, and this actually deals damage. I challenge you to get a wipeout with that move. As a free reward unit, Zhao is a generalist attack buffer with a couple issues, but still more than solid enough to find a spot on a lot of teams. She's clearly meant to be a specialized support for your Xiao'Guang, which is excellent because the Void Hunters are definitely on the stronger side. With that said, since Zhao buffs everyone on your team, she will work for many setups. Assuming Ether Veil mechanics continue to be prevalent, then Zhao could also find more uses in the future. I didn't really focus on it much, but her healing ability is also nice. All in all, Zhao's a great agent for newer players or just anyone without a lot of the limited support agents. She's fairly hands-off, although you will need to be careful of swapping when Zhao starts charging off field. That's all I have to say about our very scary Krampus judge. Log in during version 2.5 or 2.6 to get your free copy instantly. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.